It's now concluded. Call on Government Order of the Day number 1.
Appropriation 2013-14 Estimates Bill. Adjourn debate on second reading and amendment proposed thereto.
Honourable Tony Ryle, adjourn the debate. He has the call.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an opportunity, a great opportunity for me to talk about the great way that the health budget this year is dealing with the changing needs of our population, thanks to the stronger financial management that the national government has brought to the public health service. Health is, again, the biggest recipient of increased funding in the budget. The total budget this next year will be $14.65 billion, including capital, when you contrast that with only 5 years ago, $11.8 billion. So this government has continued to invest in protecting and growing the public health service in the last 5 years, and in tight world financial times when so many countries are reducing their public health spending or freezing it, we are continuing to protect and grow our public health budget. In fact, the OECD has found that New Zealand had the third biggest increase in public health investment of any country in the OECD in the latest available figures that they've produced. Vote Health in this budget gets an average of around $400 million available for each year over the next 4 years to meet pressures and initiatives. That includes $350 million in new money and around $50 million in savings. And it gets a lot better because we're able to use that money to invest in the changing needs of our population. And let's just have a look at some of those changing needs. We've been able to take money that we had set aside for DHB deficits and risks, and because of our strong financial management, we've been able to take that money, about $35 million, and put it into a heart disease and diabetes initiative. And this heart disease and diabetes initiative is a very, very significant boost in funding that we've announced in this year's budget. And why is it important? It's important because heart disease remains a leading killer of New Zealanders, and similarly, so many of the risk factors associated with heart disease are also with diabetes. And we know that diabetes is a major challenge for New Zealand, but what is an even more important challenge is the prevalence of pre-diabetes. And what can we do as a country to deal with pre-diabetes? So in our $35.5 million funding boost for diabetes and heart disease in this budget, we're including $16 million to further increase the number of New Zealanders getting heart and diabetes checks. These heart and diabetes checks are an important preventative health target, and they are important because they tell people of an age that they have got risk factors that may lead to them having heart disease or a heart attack, or may be diabetic, or be pre-diabetes. Once people know that they've got these risk factors, once they know they may be pre-diabetes, they can then make the lifestyle changes that they need to make in order to better control their disease risk factors. So we're doing that. Secondly, we're going to double the number of green prescriptions that doctors and nurses can give their patients. Now, green prescriptions are a reference to a patient to go to a provider who can help them with more physical exercise or better nutrition. We know there are very, very significant health benefits if people are more active, and so that's why we're going to double the number of green prescriptions over the next 4 years. It's a really significant investment of over $7 million. Now, for those who have diabetes, remember this is very much about preventing people from getting diabetes, a very strong focus on pre-diabetes and prevention. But for those who've got diabetes, we've got a number of local diabetes care improvement programs. We are going to significantly increase that funding by about a third over the next few years in order to expand those local diabetes care and programs to provide more diabetes nursing and more podiatry services. Now, that's dealing with heart disease and diabetes, but so many of these people who have got heart disease and diabetes also have other diseases. They call them comorbidities in health, and we want to support those people to get better care from their GPs, so we're putting $13 million in to expanding the Care Plus program, which is a general practice-based program that provides additional support to patients with long-term conditions. So you can see this is a budget about the changing needs of our population. Similarly with aged care, we know that we are ageing, and we know that our country is getting a greater prevalence of dementia. The prevalence of dementia is growing at 4 to 5% a year. It's going to be a very, very major challenge for New Zealand. And so this year's budget, we've got a very, very significant investment of $70 million extra over 4 years for aged care and diabetes, a $20 million boost for home support, because we think we should be supporting our older folks to stay longer in their homes if they want to, and that's a $20 million boost to help those people do that. Similarly, there's going to be a $12 million boost to dementia bed subsidies. What we know is we're going to need a lot more residential facilities for people who are demented. It's, as I said, it's growing at 4 to 5% a year. And so what this will do is it will say to rest home providers, we need more dementia beds, switch on the investment signal. This is the third year we've had a pretty significant increase in dementia bed subsidies, and we are getting more of those beds. We're also going to put $2 million into dementia awareness, because over the next 10 years, dementia is going to affect everybody in terms of their friends, families, or someone that they know will be suffering from dementia. And it's not a disease that people should be frightened of. They should be aware of the supports that are out there. So we're investing $2 million to provide more dementia awareness programs and to assist our GPs and our general practice teams in how they can identify dementia, particularly for early detection, because that can help better manage those people's positions. An extra over $1 billion going into training for our healthcare workers, and also $33 million increase for rest home bed subsidies across the board. We increase those subsidies every year, a very significant increase of $33.2 million. So that's focused on our ageing population, but also on this increasing prevalence of dementia. 150,000 New Zealanders are projected to have dementia by 2045, 2050, and so that's a very, very, very significant investment there. At the same time, this government continues to invest very strongly in preventive health. And we are almost doubling our rheumatic fever program. Members will recall that rheumatic fever became a national priority in 2001, and then the government did nothing. They made it a priority, then they did nothing, other than more people got rheumatic fever. So our government came to power, and we've invested in 2 budgets into a rheumatic fever program aimed at reducing rheumatic fever in our most at-risk communities. And what we know, and even the Green Party, they didn't really want to admit this, but in their leader's speech on Sunday, they actually talked about the fact that where we've run this throat swabbing in parts of the Hutt Valley, we've not had one case of rheumatic fever while we've been running that program. So we're running this program right across the high prevalence areas: Porirua, the Bay of Plenty, Rotorua, the East Coast, South Auckland, West Auckland, and it is making a very, very big difference. But of course, what happens when school's not in? And that's why we're investing in this budget $11.25 million in developing sore throat drop-in clinics. One of the key messages is that one of the reasons why mums don't take their kids with a sore throat to some doctors is because of the time they've got to wait to be seen, because mums are leading busy lives. So what we're going to fund is these sore throat drop-in clinics, particularly in Porirua, South Auckland and parts of the West, and parts of Central Auckland, where parents will know that if their kid's got a sore throat and they need to be seen, they can turn up at these drop-in clinics, no charge, be seen straight away, have the throat swab taken, and know if their kids need to get some antibiotics to deal with strep A. It's a really sensible initiative. It's backed up by the $100 million investment in expanding the home insulation program. So this is a government that acts across the life course, puts a huge investment into prevention. You know, almost 250,000 homes insulated under our first 4 years of our home insulation program. Another $100 million going in, particularly targeted at those high-risk homes. So this is another budget of another year of record investment in health, targeted to the areas that matter most to patients. Making sure we've got a strong investment in prevention, making sure that we're dealing with the changing needs of our population, making sure that our hospitals continue to provide the quality services that New Zealanders want, backed up by our 2,000 extra nurses, our 1,000 extra doctors working on the front line of New Zealand's health services. This government came to power with the challenge of repairing the damage of a decade of neglect, wasteful spending and clinical disengagement. And in the last 4.5 years, this John Key government has delivered more operations faster, more preventive care across the whole range of services, and a health system that New Zealanders can be proud of.
I'm advised that the Greens wish to split their call to 5-minute call. David Clendon.